Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Card Talk, a podcast where we spend a little bit of time talking about cards from Lord of the Rings card game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Ted Bannock, and I love talking about cards. Our co-host Grant is off on a ride.
That he's just along for, right?
That he's along for.
He's not actually driving, he's just riding.
He's just riding along.
Yeah, he's probably going through a drive-through somewhere. Anyways, do you know who he's probably riding with, though, Ted?
He's riding with our patrons.
He is, as are you and I, because without our patrons, the show is not as awesome as it would be. So
That sweet, sweet ride.
Right. So I wanted to take a minute to thank all our patrons, including Daniel, David, Jason, Joseph, Justin, Kyle, Lewis, Mike, Dominic, Phil, Rob, Robert, Russ, and Sean. And if you're interested in becoming a patron, I'll put the address right up here so that you can become a patron. It would be patreon.com/cardtalk2018. And for your donation, you can be eligible to get swag coming up at this week's Con of the Rings, this year's Con of the Rings. So that's when we will distribute swag to everybody. If you're not going to Con of the Rings, we'll make sure we send it out to people, and the cutoff for that is not for a long, long time from now. So feel free to continue to join us. For this year's swag, I made the decision to have the cutoff be anybody who is contributing at any level. So you don't have to be necessarily a $5 a month contributor, but anybody at any level can do it. So does that sound?
Come along for the ride. Let's. I'm waiting for the list to get long enough where like it's just takes an obscene amount of time for you to read it every episode.
Yeah.
Like I'm wondering where that threshold's going to be. You know, like.
Well, we have 15 patrons
right
now, so that's not horrible, and it kind of rolls off the tongue, especially there with the J's. There's Joseph, Jason, Justin, so that's pretty good, and then there's Rob, Robert.
Yeah, I just want like 20 more people to sign up, all named like Robert, and then you just got to read like Robert 20 times.
Right. So it's funny that there was 3. Well, I don't know if Rob's full name is Robert or not, but probably is, I would guess. And then so that means there's 3 Roberts that are patrons of the show. But anyways, well, that was an unexpected side conversation about our patrons. But thank you, patrons, for supporting us. And Ted, do you want to talk about the unexpectedly awesome card that we were going to talk about today?
I would love to. So on today's episode of Card Talk, we will be.
Do you have the courage to talk about that unexpected card?
Yes, as someone would not expect, we're going to be talking about unexpected courage. A core set spirit card that is a 2-cost attachment that reads attached to. I don't have any. I don't actually have it in front of me, but it's just attached to a hero, and as an action, you exhaust unexpected courage to ready the attached hero.
Are you really reading it from memory?
Yes.
Yeah, but that's exactly. But you're exactly right. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's so simple in what it does, and so elegant in its gameplay.
I know. Like, this is. If there is a card that defines what a core set staple is, it's going to be unexpected courage, right? Like, this is the card that defines core set staple.
I missed that it has the condition
right.
Trait.
Right. So if you bring ally Elrond into play, you can remove this from play if you wish. It's a condition attachment. In the ultimate grief move. You can remove a condition attachment.
Oh man. I forgot about the flavor text. Here I am Naughty little fly, you are fat and lazy. You cannot trap me, though you try. In your cobwebs, crazy. From it's Bilbo from The Hobbit. It looks like the picture though is like a dwarf character and not Bilbo. It looks like a dwarf
Yeah,
blowing a horn, But yeah, I think it's taken from that scene of The Hobbit where Bilbo finds his courage to attack the spiders and rescue the dwarfs.
yeah, pretty much rescue the. He's the guy who saves the day in that one. And this is one of those cards that I've gone art blind to. I think when we had Mark Chan, the alt artist Mark Chan on, I feel like we talked about going art blind. And I love the art on this card, especially the two-player starter art that zooms in on the dwarf and the spider.
Mm.
But it's one of those things that you just see it all the time that um, that you just go blind to how good it is, right?
Yeah, it's got a good depiction there, sort of like um the spiders surrounding you in Mirkwood and finding the courage to battle them off.
Yeah, I mean it's great. I mean, in terms of playing this card though, um,
Oh,
and
we'll
this is
talk about playing this card.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
What do you think, David?
yeah, I just don't know why you wouldn't play this card. There's other readying effects in the game, so like cram is a readying effect, and the new uh, leadership Frodo has a readying effect. Core Aragorn has a readying effect. And there's other readying effects that go around. Khalil. Superman has a readying effect. Khalil has a readying effect that's built into him. But
Oh yeah, there's quite a few, especially
there's
when you
just
consider all the spheres, all the heroes that can ready themselves. A lot of cards, certainly.
yeah, but I think that even with all those readying effects, if you have access to spirit, you still run unexpected courage, right?
Yeah, unexpected courage. If I'm playing a single, even just one single spirit hero, there's three copies, I think, in every single spirit deck I've made that has access to it.
Yeah, I mean
There,
it's literally the definition of a staple. Like, okay, you're playing with a spirit hero. Here's your spirit hero. Here's your three copies of Unexpected Courage, and here's the other spirit cards that you're playing. Right? Like, I mean, I'm not overstating it when I say that, right?
I really don't think so. Except, I mean, a hero, heroes tend to be, with the exception of some allies, they tend to be they have the best stats, you know, or they do a certain role in your deck, and there are many heroes that are good at multiple roles, and having an extra hero action is usually, again, not in all cases, but it's usually stronger than having like a two cost ally if you compare it on a cost for cost basis.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess with Messenger of the King that just got released, you can have some pretty low functioning heroes out there, but those heroes set aside, in general, if you're comparing um, a two cost ally, and especially a two cost spirit ally, to bringing out unexpected courage, the only case that I can see where you would choose the spirit ally is if you want the willpower. You can't double commit a hero to the quest, but that's just about all there is to it, right?
Right. And there's definitely some targets that are just not as good for it. Like Spirit Eowyn, for example. Like uh in considering a normal scenario, she's gonna be questing, and her
Right.
one defense and one attack isn't really gonna help you. There could be certain cases like um where you need extra hero actions, though, where she is a great target for it. Like if you play, well, we just recently did a recording on Black Riders. In Black Riders, you have to make hide tests. So it's really great for her to have two actions, one for a hide test and one for regular questing.
Right. Even in the most recent scenarios, they have, exhaust a hero to gain control of this, this objective, whatever it is. So, even if you put it on her and she's just exhausting to gain control of Skaven's teeth or something, from the Ghost of Framsburg, or, like it's just having a ready hero is better than not having a ready hero.
Oh yeah, there's certainly unexpected things that come from the encounter deck, you know.
Necromancer's Reach, or Necromancer's Reach. So you quest, you ready that character, that the hero that quested, and now Necromancer's Reach doesn't touch him. I don't know.
Yeah, it goes on. It makes certain heroes in the game have actions that require them to exhaust, such as Barivore or Galadriel, for example. And this card lets you take full advantage of using that action every single turn, and then still use their stats for, something else, questing, attacking, whatever that hero does.
Yeah. So
It's so strong.
I know there are people who have bought 3 copies of the core set just to get 3 copies of Unexpected Courage. Like that's no joke. Like,
Yeah, I believe it. I may have. Only because I dislike proxies.
right. Hold
Over
on.
time, I collected 3 copies. Um, and then they reprinted it too in the 2-player starter. So I don't have 2 full play sets of it, but I'm pretty close.
Yeah, I have a bunch of copies of it too. So, and also, just one more plug for our buddy Mark, who did the alt art. He did an Unexpected Courage series, um, with Eowyn fighting the Witch King, and he offers up his alternate art for free if you want to just print it off and stuff like that. I mean, his alt art tells a story and it's amazing. So it's pretty cool. Plug for
Yeah,
Mark. Um,
absolutely. There's quite a few alternate arts too, just from searching online. And again, this card is so tremendously good. People are like, well, let's spice it up, you know. Let's
I know. I mean, do we need to take 10 more minutes and talk about how awesome this is, or should we skip right to the end of the episode?
Yeah, um, yeah, I suppose we'll just ring it because it goes. There's a very few decks that this card can't go in. Even if your own heroes aren't the best target. Multiplayer, it's so great to throw this on someone like that has Ranger Sentinel like Baragond,
Uh-huh.
and even Baragond has a spirit version now. So it's
Right.
so tremendously good. So yeah, let's ring it.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I mean, the lesson for cards like this, or not the lesson, but the thought exercise is, in what deck do you play this, or in what deck do you not purposely not play Unexpected Courage?
Yeah, that is the harder part to determine.
Like, I guess if you are playing, you're playing Gray Wanderer Smeagol, right? That's you don't play this card.
Right,
Like if you're playing a 300s deck that doesn't have spirit access, you don't play this. I mean, it's
right,
like,
right.
those are just ridiculous examples, but are there, and before we ring it, are there any decks where you don't necessarily feel like you have to run it?
Uh,
um
yeah, I mean, there could be a few cases, if you're playing a multiplayer deck, and even then, even if your 3 heroes are like only questing focused, like I said, it's like Eowyn and Lothriel and you know some other high willpower character
mhm.
uh, that has poor attack and defense. Even then, it's like, well, your deck isn't meant for combat, so your second action won't really help you. But odds are, if you're pairing with another deck, like someone else's hero will be a good target for this card.
Exactly. The only thing that I can imagine where you wouldn't want to run it, because I have one deck where I don't run it necessarily, and that's in my Sylvan deck. And the reason why I don't run it there, and not because it's not thematic, but because I think it's like the ally swarm. Like sometimes it's more important to spend the two resources to get allies out to swarm the board than it is to get action advantage. So there's a case for not using unexpected courage. However weak that case is, it's still a case where,
Yeah,
those two resources that you would spend are more important to bring out the allies for, like the Gondor clown boat that Mr. Underhill talked about when he was on the show.
yeah. That's a good point. Sylvans, you might not run it, especially because you have Elven King for a Sylvan archetype deck, which fits into the archetype better because it has that secondary effect of returning a Sylvan to your hand, which is good for that deck.
Right.
And quite possibly a Dale deck, even though one of the Dale heroes is Spirit that you're probably putting in that deck, Bard. Um, it's you might be better off putting in something that can be attached to all characters,
Right.
because this can't go on allies for a Dale deck. But again, even in Dale, you can put it on one of your heroes and get +1 willpower and draw a card if you're playing Brand, like
Right. Right.
so yeah, it's very very rare instances where you might not put this in your deck.
Right. Yeah. But if you're a new person just starting out and you're listening to the show and you're trying to figure out whether you play unexpected courage or not, let me just tell you, you play unexpected courage. You put that in your deck all the time. As long as you have spirit access, it goes in your deck. Okay, well, I think we should ring this card, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so for anybody who is new to the podcast or may have forgotten, we take these cards and we ring them on a scale from 1 to 10. It's a highly scientific yet arbitrary system. So we have a 1, which is the one card to rule them all, and a 10, which gets thrown back into the fiery chasm from whence it came because that card stinks. So, Ted, where would you rank Unexpected Courage?
Well, considering that unexpected courage, its primary weakness is that you have to draw it.
And even then, you can mitigate that with side quests and heed the dream and all that stuff. Like,
Yeah, there's ways to find it,
yeah,
gather information, right?
right,
Heed the dream, any other card draw.
yeah,
Master of the Forge will
yep,
fish this out of your deck if you're running
right,
lore.
right.
Um, it's tremendously good, and I have to decide right now. I haven't rated a card a 1 yet, and I
Mm-hmm.
have to decide if how I'm gonna save that rating. If there it truly is just one card in the card pool for me, that's a single 1, or if there's a couple worthy of that rating.
Well, you
Um,
could always think about it like
'Cause
this: is that this is an attachment, a condition attachment. So maybe this is the one condition attachment that rules them all, right?
yeah, this card is up there as far as its playability, its versatility, um, and like I said, you just uh, I guess availability too, right? Because it is only a one of in the core set.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
probably its biggest weakness.
Right.
Is that it costs you money if you don't want to just proxy the card,
Right.
because they only reprinted it the one time. Um, so think I'm I think I'm gonna have to give it a. I don't know if I want to rate a card a 1, but this is it. So I'm gonna give it a. I'm gonna give it a 1.
Yeah.
This card is so tremendously good.
I know
Um,
it is so tremendously good.
it's it. Like it goes in so many decks. But what do you think, David?
Yeah. I mean, other than the limitations that you outlined, that there's only one of them in the core set, and it's going to cost you more to get official copies of this, and you have to draw it. I think the only actual limitation that's on this card is attached to a hero. But I think if it was attached to a character, this card would just be totally bonkers, off the wall good. So, despite its, I'll put the quote sign up. Despite its quote limitation that it has to attach to a hero, I still think that this is a 1. This is a core set staple through and through. It was good when the core set was released, it's good 9 years later. And so this card is just an amazing card. So
Yeah. It is an attachment, so it's subject to, like encounter card effects, I guess.
right.
If it, like, your shadow card says discard an attachment you control, and this is the only one you have. But even then, it's like, well, I only paid 2 for it,
Right.
and meh. Yeah, it sucks. Oh man, does it suck when it goes away? But um, it's so good.
Yeah, it is so good. It's like that really creamy, thick piece, like ice cream that just, like, it's a nice hot summer day, and you just have that
Yeah,
ice. Oh, making me hungry
like
here.
anytime you draw it, I'm happy to see it in my hand. I'm happy when anyone plays it on my hero, or even
Right,
just again for it to hit the table. Like, someone else plays Unexpected Courage on someone else's Legolas. Like, freaking awesome! Now, like, a ranged character has 2 attacks.
right.
Like, that's awesome.
Or put it on Barragon, and you have 2 defenses. Like, you
Like,
put it on
it's
to Grimbjorn the Old, and you have 2. Like, any of those, like, just any target that requires you to exhaust to use, which is every target.
yeah,
Like, it's just phenomenal.
yeah.
So there it is, unanimous one, while Grant is at the drive-through, so he'll never know what hit him. So join us again as we talk about more cards in the game. Have a great day, everybody.
And if you're interested in finding this or any of our back episodes of Card Talk, feel free to search YouTube, where you can find our flagship video episodes with the username Card Talk 2018. Or you can search the RSS feed, cardtalk2018.libsyn.org, for our extended audio versions of our podcast. Or you can find us on Facebook at Card Talk 2018. And if you have any questions for Grant or myself, or for both of us, feel free to email us at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.